This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by the Dover Liberty Book Club.
The parallels between 1990 Yugoslavia and 2010 America. I know I've been talking about them a lot lately, maybe a little too much. The fact is, I don't want to see the U.S. crack up like old Yugoslavia did. It would be much better if the coming collapse mimics the Soviet collapse. But Yugoslavia, I know. Russia, I don't. So please bear with me if I have some more parallels and warnings to share. Suppose the U.S. collapse follows more in the footsteps of an earlier Balkan cataclysm, the destruction of the Austro-Hungarian Empire around 1918. Instead of birthing tiny countries like the fall of Yugoslavia did, Austria-Hungary's collapse created a series of mid-sized countries. One that it birthed was the troubled child known as the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes. It was soon to be renamed Yugoslavia. I can't help but think about Yugoslavia when I see some of the maps that people are putting together, brainstorming what a post-United States America might look like. People seem to treat it almost as a given that some sort of New England nation or New England confederacy would form out of that. Now, alliances and maybe confederacies of states are not a problem in my mind. But if a map like this starts being drawn for real, I mean, as a country, New Hampshire should do everything it can to avoid joining. If a country were born that looked like this, it would be in grave danger of eventually looking like this. And then maybe this. Why? Because a quote-unquote nation of New England would have one of the same key problems that Yugoslavia had. One populous authoritarian state ended up dominating the others. I'm sure you know what I mean when I say that New England has just such a state. Now, Massachusetts refugees are some of the best liberty activists New Hampshire has. Contrary to popular belief, most of them come here for the right reasons and do the right things to help preserve our liberties. But even being in the same giant country with Massachusetts has proven to be difficult for New Hampshire. For us to be alone with that cruel place, or anywhere near alone, would be a disaster. Or maybe I should say being alone with them in the same small country would be a disaster. It's easy to get caught up in the controversial and exciting discussion of whether New Hampshire should secede or push for more independence in some form or fashion. That's an important discussion that looks one step ahead, but we need to be trying to look 2 steps ahead. As the wheels come off in Washington and the secession debate heats up, you're going to start seeing maps like this, just like we did after the 2004 election.
Whoa, Congressman, I'm running for Congress. Get out. This is my wife.
We can also probably project that Washington will try and take advantage of New Hampshire's animosity toward Massachusetts. It will be easy for New Hampshire residents to forget that they have many things in common with Massachusetts residents. Citizens of both states have grave misgivings about the things Washington does. Both states are relatively wealthy and forced to send their money south, where of course a lot of it is used to hurt Southerners. I see the soothing solution as alliance or treaty that results in no other government ruling New Hampshire on any matter. That way, hopefully, there's nothing to get angry about. The treaty could provide for free travel between New England states, maybe some sort of mutual defense, but no central New England government. if there were such a thing, it would be incumbent on New Hampshireites to stay out of it. Croats and Slovenes didn't really have a choice. They were essentially abducted into Yugoslavia. Hopefully that won't happen to us. One of the best ways to make sure it doesn't is to be against it from the get-go.
This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by the Dover Liberty Book Club. In addition to eating lots of pastries and drinking lots of coffee, they are dedicated to learning about the basic principles which explain our current economic and social situation. And speaking of economic situations, you'll be glad to know most of the books they read are free. Dover Liberty Book Club.